whoever you are, wherever you are, hope you are blessed and doing safe. Ladies and gentlemen, greetings, family. Of course, I'm tuning in. You see me without the glasses off today, but if you're looking for some opportunities, particular advertisement opportunities, then look no further at the link at the bottom to my email address. You can hit me up for advertisement opportunities. We are supporting and promoting your businesses here on this channel. You can also, if you would like to donate and subscribe to our Patreon, a link is at the bottom as well. So you have multiple ways in which you can advertise with the platform by emailing me when we go on through our live stream. You also have access to premium content, those that want to see premium content that you will not find here on YouTube or Facebook or Twitter, as I am suspended probably by now. You guys can check out the Patreon at link at the bottom. But advertisement opportunities, definitely email me, Gavin.Rich1@gmail.com for rates. And for the Patreon, it is the same as the YouTube channel. It is channel GBoot2786. All right, I'll holla. Peace.
G-Boot. Born and raised in New Orleans, Gavin and his father created an authentic Creole-style seasoning called Nani's.
All right, so we just fried the chicken, and we put the fried the chicken with some Nani's. We added some Nani's Creole blends, as y'all saw earlier, and then added shout out. And then how was it? It goes great, obviously. That's what he said. So that's Nani's Creole blends, ladies and gentlemen. You can go to our website, Nani's, Nonis, CreoleBlends.com. NONISCreoleBlends.com, ladies and gentlemen. Try it on chicken, meat, or fish. Nani's goes great with every dish. Oh, I can smell it right there.
Go ahead. You got to do it.
Anyway, guys, try it on chicken, meat, or fish. Nani's goes great with every dish. Go to NonisCreoleBlends.com and order you some Nani's Creole blends, ladies and gentlemen. Happy 4th of July. Oh, we're going to try some more. Can't wait for the burgers.
Make your food more flavorful. Chicken, meat, or fish, Nani's goes great with every dish. Order at NonisCreoleBlends.com. We all know and love our B1 brother Gavin, also known as G-Boot. Born and raised in New Orleans, Gavin and his father created an authentic Creole-style seasoning called Nani's.
All right, so we just fried the chicken, and we put the fried the chicken with some Nani's. We added some Nani's Creole blends, as y'all saw earlier, and then added shout out. And then how was it? It goes great, obviously. That's what he said. So that's Nani's Creole blends, ladies and gentlemen. You can go to our website, Nani's, Nonis, CreoleBlends.com. NonisCreoleBlends.com, ladies and gentlemen. Try it on chicken, meat, or fish. Nani's goes great with every dish. Oh, I can smell it right there.
Go ahead. You got to do it.
Anyway, guys, try it on chicken, meat, or fish. Nani's goes great with every dish. Go to NonisCreoleBlends.com and order you some Nani's Creole blends, ladies and gentlemen. Happy 4th of July. Oh, we're going to try some more. Can't wait for the burgers.
Make your food more flavorful. Chicken, meat, or fish, Nani's goes great with every dish. Order at NonisCreoleBlends.com. We all know and love our B1 brother Gavin, also known as G-Boot. Born and raised in New Orleans, Gavin and his father created an authentic Creole-style seasoning called Nani's.
All right, so we just fried the chicken, and we put the fried the chicken with some Nani's. We added some Nani's Creole blends, as y'all saw earlier, and then added shout out. And then how was it? It goes great, obviously. That's what he said. So that's Nani's Creole blends, ladies and gentlemen. You can go to our website, Nani's, Nonis, CreoleBlends.com. noniscreolblends.com. NONISCREOLEBLENDS.com, ladies and gentlemen. Try it on chicken, meat, or fish. Noni's goes great with every dish. Oh, I can smell it right there.
Go ahead, you gotta do it, Neil. You know,
Anyway, guys, try it on chicken, meat, or fish. Noni's goes great with every dish. Go to noniscreolblends.com and order you some Noni's Creole Blends, ladies and gentlemen. Happy 4th of July. Oh, we're going to try some more. Can't wait for the burgers. So.
Make your food more flavorful. Chicken, meat, or fish, Noni's goes great with every dish. Order at noniscreolblends.com.
Equally is not between Republicans and Democrats. It is between those of us who are pro-American, embracing the ideals that set this country into motion, and I think an increasing strain in this country that is anti-American, that wishes to apologize for a nation founded on those ideals. But that's not a 50-50 split. I think most people are in the pro-American camp. And Poppy, I think one of the ways they would say we get to national unity, some people think, is by showing up in the middle and compromising. I respect that view, but I reject it.
You reject compromise.
I reject compromising on our principles. I think the right way to get to national unity, and I mean this, to unite this country, is by embracing actually the radicalism of the American ideals themselves. We celebrate our diversity and differences. I'm glad we have 3 different shades of melanin on this set right now, 2 different genders. That's fine. But what I say is, so what? That diversity is meaningless unless there's something greater that binds us together, that unites us across that diversity. And I'm running for president to revive those ideals that bind us together across our diverse attributes.
I want to get into a few issues, one of them being China. Before I get to China, I just want to better understand something you said this week speaking before the audience at the NRA. Here's what you said, referring to back to 1865. Here it was.
I want you to raise your hand if you know when the first anti-gun laws were passed in this country. Raise your hand if you do. 1865. You want to know when it happened? We fought a civil war in this country to give Black Americans the equal protection under the law that we failed to secure them in 1776. But then you want to know what happened? Southern states passed anti-gun laws that stopped Black people from owning guns. The Democrat Party, then as in now, wanted to put them back in chains.
Then as in now, that's quite an accusation about the current Democratic Party. Who and what were you referring to?
I was referring to Joe Biden and his expression of wanting to put them back in chains, dating back to Lyndon Johnson. I think Lyndon Johnson's so-called Great Society was one of the greatest misnomers in American political history, where even back then in the 1960s, 70% plus of Black kids were born into 2-parent homes. Today, that number is less than 30% in the opposite direction. The very policies that we implemented in this country in the name of helping Black Americans have actually been disastrous for Black Americans and all Americans. And I think that that's something that we need to wake up to.
In 1865, you were talking about the Black codes, right?
That's right.
Passed, enacted to make it a crime for a Black person to carry a gun
Exactly.
in the South. But you're equating that to the current president? You're referring to economic chains? What are you saying?
Well, I was referring to Joe Biden's, I think, ill-chosen expression to say they're the party that wants to put you back into chains. What I'm actually saying is that if you look at the policies of the modern Democratic Party.
Democrats.
Absolutely. So what I'm saying is that actually it's policies like that of Lyndon Johnson and Joe Biden that are actually holding Black Americans back.
The war on poverty?
Yes, and in particular, his Great Society, where he actually created incentives in the family, where if you're a family, you could actually get more money by not having the father in the home. Guess what you get? You get what you pay for. I think it's been really bad for the Black community. I think it's really bad for all Americans.
What do you have anything on this before I move on to China?
I don't see what one has to do with the other, but go on. I took up a lot of time with Fox.
Oh, it's fine. We have time.
I don't really see what one has to do with the other, especially consider and using the Civil War to talk about Black Americans. That war was not fought for Black people to have guns. That's not.
That war was fought for Black people to have freedoms in this country.
Yeah.
Actually, that's why the Civil War was fought.
Okay.
And the sad
that
part
wasn't
about
fought for Black people to have guns. I think.
Actually, you know, funny fact is Black people did not get to enjoy the other freedoms until their Second Amendment rights were secured. And I think that that's one of the lessons that we
still
learned.
aren't allowed to enjoy the freedoms.
I disagree with you on that, Don. I disagree with you. I think you're doing a disservice to our country by failing to recognize the fact that we have equality before the law.
And you live in this country, then you can disagree with me, but we're not. You mentioned that there
I
are
disagree.
three different shades
Don, I
of
think we have to be
melanin
able to
here.
talk about these issues in the open, regardless of the color of our skin. Black Americans today, to say that, compare that to 1865 and 1964,
I think for you to compare it to
absolutely
1865 and
have equal rights
1964
in
is
this country.
actually, I think it's insulting to black people. It's insulting to me as an African American. I don't want to sit here and argue with you because it's infuriating for you to put those things together. It's not right. Your telling of history is wrong. What
part of the history was wrong?
What part of the history was wrong? That the Civil War was fought. You're making people think that the Civil War was fought for black people, only for black people to get guns and for black people to
The Civil War was fought for black people in this country to get freedoms, a noble mission. And I think that even after we succeeded, we had to actually secure those freedoms.
To reduce it in a speech at the NRA to say you're making people think, or you're trying to say that black people to get guns, that was the reason that you're there at the NRA. That was the reason for the Civil War.
It is a fact.
That's reductive.
It's not
and
reductive.
I think it's insulting. There are a whole plethora of reasons that for the Civil War.
With due respect, I find your explanation reductive and actually insulting, including to black Americans, to say that black people today, compared to 1964, 1865, haven't made progress in part because of the freedoms we secured. And the Second Amendment was part of what secured
hang on,
that
please.
freedom.
I cannot keep a thought if you guys are talking to me in my ear. So hang on one second. So to say that black people, say what you said again.
Black people secured their freedoms after the Civil War. It is a historical fact, Don. Just study it. Only after their Second Amendment rights were secured.
They were not secured their freedoms after the Civil War. That is not, you are discounting Reconstruction. You're discounting a whole host of things that happened after the Civil War when it comes to African Americans, including the whole reason that the Civil Rights Movement happened is because black people did not secure their freedoms after the Civil War, and that things turned around. People tried to change the freedoms that were supposed to happen.
And you know how they got it?
They
got their Second Amendment rights, and they actually got, the NRA played a big role in that. But today, Don, the
NRA did not play a big role.
Absolutely, they trained black Americans how to use firearms.
That's a lie. That's not. The NRA did not play a big role.
This is just historical fact. But Don, the part that I find,
because you say it's historical fact,
the part that I find insulting is when you say today black Americans don't have those rights after we have gone through civil rights revolution in this country.
You are sitting here telling an African American about the rights and what you find insulting about the way I live, the skin I live in every day.
Here's where you and I have
the
a different point of view.
Black and white that black people don't have in this country, and that black people do have.
Well, here's where you and I have a different point of view. I think we should be able to express our views regardless of the color of our skin. We should have this debate
I'm not saying you
without me regarding you as a black man,
but
me regarding you as a fellow citizen.
That you're sitting here, whatever ethnicity you are, explaining to me
whatever ethnicity
about what it's like to be black.
Whatever ethnicity I am, I'll tell you what I am. I'm an Indian American. I'm proud of it. But I think we should have this debate. Black, white, doesn't matter.
I think we should have this
on
debate.
The content of the ideas.
You should do it in an honest way and in a fair way. And what you're doing is not an honest and fair way. Okay? But we appreciate you coming on.
With due respect, Don, I look forward to continuing that conversation. Thank you.
The conversation.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Pop.
We'll talk about China.
Yes, let's talk about China.
Next time you come back.
Oh, thank you. Much to say on declaring independence from China.
Okay.
Something you can
move
add
on now, please.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Move on, indeed. Well, we know at least out of those two which one will be coming back. Vivek will be back. Donnie will not. Excuse me, Mr. Lemonade. Miss Lemonade will not be back because the lemon is squeezed, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I wanted to play that video. First off, whoever you are, wherever you are, I hope you are blessed and doing safe. Greetings, family. By the way, 23423 said, I look like Al from Toy Story. Well, there's a reason. Obviously, you don't have a picture up of your avatar, sir. Probably because you look like Mr. Potato Head. So, yeah, bunch of hockey pucks. Now, don't riff with a, you know I'm a comedian, all right? I get paid for this shit, so don't try it, fucker. I can hurt your nut. I can stump your nuts. Don't do it. That's just a taste. Now, I put that video up. I wanted to start with it because that was just a few days ago. And I wanted you all to see, obviously you saw an argument between a stooge and an idiot because the Vivek dude clearly is a fucking racist idiot Republican, and yet your Don Lemonade has always been a stooge. And a stooge by that meaning he is a rubber stamp for anything that is liberal and all for the Democratic Party. Now, I really, even though I'm a Democrat, I identify mainly as an independent. There are things that I like, some things I like about the Democratic Party. I have not liked the direction it has gone in the last, I want to say, 15, 20 years. At least I've been voting since I was 18 years old. So I've just noticed, especially us in new black media and black Americans in general, have noticed how the Democratic Party had left and abandoned what we thought were great principles, especially from the time of the 60s with John Kennedy and Lyndon Johnson to now becoming this all-inclusive rainbow where they're pushing everybody else's agenda but ours. But in particular, they forced the Rainbow Coalition. If you get my meaning, I'm not talking about Jesse Jackson's push organization. Now, yes, he was trivializing the struggle because Vivek Ramaswamy, who is running for president, yes, he has a chance, is talking about the NRA and securing gun rights. First and foremost, let's talk history with that. And I'm going to get to Don Lemon and Tucker Carlson. It's all connecting. First and foremost, the Civil War was fought, and at least this Republican said it, over black people getting their rights. That is true. In truthfulness, and it was really not just about rights. There's a caveat to that. It was for black people to be recognized as human beings. You were not considered a human if you were black in this country. Dred Scott versus Sanford made it very clear. Roger Chaney and the other justices said that black people were not people, that Dred Scott was not a man and had no rights to even be in court. And as such, a war, and that was in 1857. The Civil War took place 4 years later. And we remember with Lincoln, when he became president and under the Republican Party, that was created to prevent the expansion of slavery, especially in the West. So your states that hadn't come into being, like California and Washington and Oregon, all those places, they were preventing the expansion of slavery in that area, and a Republican Party came to being. Now, it has changed and flipped, especially in the 60s, because we saw how there were Republicans at one point who supported the Voting Rights Act and Civil Rights Act, but then when Lyndon Johnson did the war on poverty and also the Vietnam War, really is what killed Lyndon Johnson's presidency. But Vivek left out, and I will give kudos and credit where it's due to Don Lemon, when he talked about progress and how black people black people, number one, haven't really become legal in this country until 1965 with the passage of the Voting Rights Act. The Constitution, yes, was created, but everything on the Constitution from the 13th, 15th Amendment was just a piece of paper. It meant nothing to the bigots, the racists that were in your mayor's office, on the bench of the judges, the Klansmen that were in the jury boxes, especially when Emmett Till's murder trial came forth in Mississippi and they found those crackers not guilty, even though they confessed to it. Scottsboro boys, George Steiny Jr., I could go on. The riots that took place, one of the largest here in the city of New Orleans. Robert Charles, man got shot over 1,000 times. And yes, black people were not allowed to own weapons. The earliest gun control laws, that is true, were established to prevent black people from voting. And the NRA is an old organization. It is technically a civil rights organization because talking about civil rights basically that are endowed through our government that should be applied to all people. That's where that comes from. But what it is today, it is still, you got to remember, a predominantly white organization that holds strong conservative views, and even racist views, because let's not forget what they did with the brother up in Minnesota that got shot, who was a concealed carry permit holder that was in the car with his girlfriend and son and was shot and killed by that coward cop. I can't think of the young brother's name. He was a teacher. So when you talk about progress, define what progress is. Progress isn't me being able to sleep with every white woman I want. Progress isn't about Jay-Z having $1 billion in his account or LeBron James being able to own a soccer team or anything like that. Progress is when a group moves forward. Philando Castile, thank you. Vivek Ramaswamy, who's an entrepreneur running for president, he put this up on his YouTube page, this full interview. I only played part of it because I was watching at least 4 minutes of it before I came on here. And you can tell, of course, he's obviously, we know what direction he's going to go in. Some of y'all have never even heard of him. But just like we know the direction he's going to go in, we also know the direction these two, especially Don Lemonade, is going to go in on CNN. And Don Lemonade, I called him a stooge for a reason, because you can tell everything is about Democratic policies with CNN. Don Lemon had and has a history, and why I'm not crying tears for him, most people know already that both Don Lemon and Tucker Carlson have been fired from Fox, respectively, from CNN and Fox News as of yesterday. They were both axed at the same time. According to the reports that I have here, I'm going to get back to Don. One of the reasons they're stating that Don Lemon was fired, they're citing, and this is Vivek is trying to, the reason why he has this up here, he posted it 6 days ago, but there are conservatives that are trying to state that this was about Don Lemon, about he was fired for the way he did this unprofessional interview. That's not the case. By the way, both Tucker Carlson and Don Lemon recently, according to brother Boyce Watkins, obtained the same attorney. The real reason, according to what I'm hearing, if you remember this, a few weeks ago, we did a report on Don Lemonade and how there was a article in Vanity magazine about his misogyny. Now, they cite how he talked to his producers, how he talks to female co-workers, how he said Nikki Haley wasn't in her prime. Now, of course, Don thought he could do it because he's white girl diva. And they, like Poppy Harlow, and Poppy Harlow, and I can't guess the other co-hosts, who cares? Nobody watches CNN. They obviously did not like what he had to say. Women will not like past her prime. This is the original comment that we see here. Now look at this. They call it return. He will return to CNN. This was 2 months ago after following sexist comments. Y'all are looking at the article. Hold on, let's pull up the video. But this is what essentially happened here.
Storm when he took on presidential hopeful Nikki Haley because she questioned whether Joe Biden is too old to be president.
This whole talk about age makes me uncomfortable. I think it's the wrong road to go down. She says people, politicians or something are not in their prime. Nikki Haley isn't in her prime.
He apologized, but the damage was done.
Now, I understood. Most of us, I think, understood what he was trying to say. But when you're a bootlick, you are not thinking with your head nor your heart. You think with your tongue. And Don Lemon, for years, because he has talked disparagingly about black people, trying to be that cool black friend with all the white folks, he thought he could get respect, or at least clout, I should say, for saying what he said about Nikki Haley, that she was past her prime. But Missy Polly and Miss Ann didn't like that. And as a result, Don Lemon was suspended, and this was 2 months ago. They said, and you heard it here on Inside Edition, he was just to undergo training, so he gets fired. Now,
well, and as Don Lemon told us on CNN,
Nikki Haley, who endorsed, this is the same Nikki Haley who endorsed having the Confederate flag around out in South Carolina on the Capitol. She was the governor. And the only reason they took it down was because back in 2015, if you remember, was because of the Mother Emanuel shooting. That's when she took it down. And yes, she did take it down, but yet her policies, her positions didn't change.
and women actually can't run for president because he said we're past our prime once we get to our 40s. But since you have to be 35 to run, it's like this really tight window between 35 and 40.
There was speculation that Don might not return. My understanding, this was taken very seriously by CNN. A lot of staffers were not happy about this. Women who work for CNN felt that.
I'm gonna pause it. This guy works for Variety. Notice that this Brian Steinberg guy works for Variety. Who put out the article on Don Lemonade? Variety, Tatiana Siegel. Now, it may seem this article might come across, and I believe was a hit job, but do I feel sorry for Don? Am I defending him? No, I'm not. Don stuck his foot in his mouth too many times, and this is the time he gets fired because he crossed Becky. He is not getting fired for all this other crap he said. Let's not forget some of his greatest his most famous hits. Or should I say infamous hits? Don Lemon, when he got into it with Talib Kweli. Let's not forget this.
What you're speaking about is intentions. And I don't think, especially an organization like CNN, I don't think the intention is to not be fair or balanced. But we live in a world that's run by white supremacy, and that's the narrative and language of the oppressors taking over. On CNN.com right now, you have a story up that says, Ferguson calm until bottles fly. Well, that's inaccurate because I was there that night, you know what I'm saying? And that's not what happened. The first thing in the story it says is police chase down men.
Well,
let me finish my point.
That's not what happened where you were. But
I was there right there with the article, the situation he was talking about. I was right there. That's what happened.
But that's not what happened.
Let me finish my. That's exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened. No, you're not, because you're talking.
Yes, I am. I'm going to let you finish your point.
No, let me finish my point before you talk.
Okay, but let me
finish my point before you talk.
I want to address something you said.
And we don't have to have an interview if I can't talk.
That's one. Let's not also forget, of course, he had this woman on who accused Cosby, Joan Torres, and my brother Drew Story has already done a video on these women, including Joan Torres, if I'm not mistaken, exposing their lies. So that's not why I'm playing this. I'm just playing this how unprofessional you have to be as a news anchor to actually ask suspected rape victim, because she said she was raped twice by Bill Cosby. Why she didn't bite his penis?
Right. You know, there are ways not to perform oral sex if you want to do it.
I was kind of stoned at the time, and quite honestly, that didn't even enter my mind.
Yeah.
Now I wish it would have.
Right.
But
meaning the using of the teeth, right?
Yes, that's what I'm thinking. I didn't even think of it.
Biting. So,
ouch.
Yes, I had to ask.
Yes, no, I didn't. It didn't cross my mind.
He did that. Let's not. He said Trump was like Hitler. Y'all know that in 2014, he was actually voted worst news correspondent. He wasn't fired then. But look at all of this. All of the accusations are when he talks about women. He asked the woman, did you have a Republican if she's suffering from mommy brain? I don't even know what the hell that means. Oh, I hate these ads.
Republicans are offering ideas and they're not doing much. Republicans, 13% of Republicans want a total ban on abortion. 70% of Republicans
want abortions, but with restrictions, right? But want restrictive abortion.
No, I was going on a different issue, but you can go down. I mean, a majority of
you lose your train of thought. I do it all the time.
I did, but
I hate it when that happens.
A majority of Republicans oppose book bans. A majority of Republicans think that talking about race and learning about racism in school is a good thing. Majorities of Republicans are not where today's MAGA Republicans are going, and all the things that they keep talking about, which begs the question: what the hell are they thinking?
Is it fair to say this? Because I'm not a mommy, but is it mommy brain? Is it you?
No, Don. I just call it COVID.
I forget what I'm talking about all the time.
It's COVID fog. You can call it COVID fog. No, I just forgot what I was going to say.
We're not beating up on you. We're just having fun. It's totally okay.
That's what got Don fired. Nah, that's what really got Don fired. But let's not forget Ferguson. I smell weed. This was my personal favorite.
A couple during the prosecutor's announcement, Bob McCullough's announcement, and then just about maybe a minute, 2 minutes ago, just before you went to Jason Carroll, we heard a gunshot and then people started scattering, and now they're moving back, and we're watching people. They're on top of the roofs of the tops of cars, and obviously there's a smell of marijuana in the air as well.
We're going to have to move back here in a second. There's a big volley now of it. Couple of dozens. We don't know what that sound was. There was some gunfire before. They're throwing the canisters back from the crowd back towards the officers. This is what happened a few minutes ago. It's a way of dispersing people.
We're good. So Chris, can you hear me?
Can you still hear us, Don?
So Chris, so again, if you come to us where we are now, you can see that the gas is coming this way.
protesters have started coming here. There's a woman near us who has been injured, and again, people are being overcome with tear gas. And we are as well. We can get some water. I want to go now to CNN's Jason Carroll. Jason is out in the crowd. Jason, what are you saying?
Oh, yeah, I don't want to get a copyright from them, but yeah. He said he smelled marijuana. And he actually was surprised why people were upset with him. But this is Don Lemon, who has had a history of saying this stuff. And let's not forget, there's a smell of marijuana in here. Let's not forget also when Don Lemon talked about the disappearing airplane. Remember the airplane they never found? He said it was in a black hole. And even Barbara Walters snapped on him. This was Malaysian Airlines Flight 370. He asked if a black hole could have swallowed an airplane. But for us as black people, let's not forget Don Lemon defended stop and frisk. He has the energy and smoke for this fake ass presidential candidate, but he defended said black people didn't have a problem with stop and frisk. Even Philly Magazine called him a hypocrite. He sued Tower Records in Philly for racial profiling, asked an audience, would you rather be politically correct or safe and alive? Saying I find it interesting. They said he's giving Bill Cosby a run for money, and Don Lemon did everything to speak negatively of Cosby. I'll never forget. Yeah, he and Jonah Hill were having a tweet exchange back and forth, and Jonah Hill called him a woman. I remember that. But this doesn't surprise me. So Don Lemon gets fired, and according to the reports, he had, of course, they say he had a history of misogyny and so forth. What I have read, the reason why Don was fired, that obviously had something to do with it in regards to the comments about the white females. That's why he is no longer on CNN. But all of the stuff, I point this out, you see all of the things that he has said in the past, it never got to the point of him being fired. No one fired Don Lemon for talking against black people for stop and frisk. Nobody talked negative of Don Lemon or complained about Don Lemon for talking about the Malaysia airplane being sucked in a black hole. They were obviously doing this for ratings. Nobody talked about that. And he was voted worst news anchor. Worst commentator in America in 2014 by the Hollywood Reporter. Columbia Journalism Review, he said he had the worst journalism of 2014. They cited his remarks about with an interview with a woman about Bill Cosby. and his comment about how there's a smell of marijuana in the air as a reason why he was voted worst journalist of 2014. But again, let's go to why he was fired. And there's been a back and forth with CNN. CNN disputed his story because Don went on Twitter and stated he wrote the following. He said, "I'm stunned. After 17 years at CNN, I would have thought that someone in management would have had the decency to tell me directly. At no time was I given any indication that I would not be able to continue to do the work I have loved at the network. It is clear that some larger issues are at play. With that said, I want to thank my colleagues and the many teams I have worked with for an incredible run. They are the most talented journalists in the business, and I wish them all the best." And then CNN responded to his assertions. They said what he stated, basically saying he's lying. His statement about this morning's events is inaccurate. He was offered an opportunity to meet with management, but instead released a statement on Twitter. Don Lemon has been with CNN for nearly 2 decades, and after more than 8 years as a primetime host, Lemon on November 1st was moved, along with Harlow and Collins, to the relaunched CNN Mornings, the replacement for New Day, as part of a revamp by Lit. But ratings for the new show have been dismal. Yeah, the ratings have been low. Don Lemon is the same thing with Cuomo Tonight with CNN, which I heard Lemon was a factor in getting Chris Cuomo kicked off, supposedly. Y'all know Rick Ross, but all is not lost for Don Lemon. Rick Ross has offered him a job at Wingstop. I don't know if I want Don Lemon handling my food. Obviously, he can see bacteria. There's E. coli in here. That's the first thing Don Lemon is going to say.
Just found out Don Lemon was terminated from CNN. Damn, Don. But guess what? The brothers got your back. We hiring in at Wingstop. And for some reason, I believe you know what you're doing with them lemon pepper wings. So, man, just send over your resume. Well, for 17 years. But I'm going to make sure I get you in front of the right grill, brother. Stay solid, brother. Just came up with a wonderful idea. Well, really, Don, you helped me come up with this, but I need to hit the team over at Rapstar Energy Drink and let them know we should introduce the Don Lemon flavor. What y'all think? What y'all think? Hey, Don, I'm going to bust it. Hey, we got you, brother. Don Lemon.
All right. Who wants Don Lemonade handling their food? Y'all remember from the movie True Blood when they had Lafayette, the gay black man, Lafayette, and there's a scene when they talked about AIDS food, the racist bigots on the movie show True Blood didn't want Lafayette handling because he was, Lafayette was openly gay, flaming. We know, Don, all Don will deal with flats because he sucks the bone right out of them. Just, I don't think you want that, Darius. He'd be sucking. Oh, we took the bones out because we knew it was going to be dangerous for everybody's throat. Don Lemonade, yeah, he could. Well, I don't even know if I want to drink his lemonade. Now, you know how bad you have to be when they want to replace you with Gayle King and Charles Barkley? They actually got to bring Charles Barkley to come save your ass, save your network. You got a problem. I got to move over to CNN, knucklehead, so that must mean I'm smart. 2 + 2 is 5, like I always said. Now, yeah, Barkley is coming to CNN. 2 + 2 is 44. Like I said, Ernie, it should be 34 like my jersey when I was with Philadelphia. But the Lakers, the Sixers, I got fat just so I couldn't be drafted by them, Ernie, because they were just terrible. Even though here's the thing, they had Dr. J, but I didn't come in when Dr. J won that championship. I came in much late. Yeah. Y'all doubt me? Yeah, Charles Barkley and Gayle King are getting a talk show, are in talks. Yeah, they're to host a weekly show on CNN. The show is going to be called King Charles. They made the announcement.
All right, it's official. King Charles, a different kind of royalty, a brand new show hosted by award-winning journalist Gayle King and NBA superstar Charles Barkley. It will be debuting on Wednesday nights on CNN this fall. They made the announcement just moments ago on TNT's NBA Tip-Off. Take a look.
What I think is so great for the both of us is that it's live TV. And to me, live TV is like working without a net. Don't you feel that?
Yes,
So,
100%.
So whatever happens, happens. I like that. Charles always says, I
Gayle never looked older.
can't get used to you guys calling him Chuckster. I'm so used to Charles, so I'll just stick with Charles. Charles always says, I don't like a script. I like to have a little bit of a script.
He
I
likes
like to know
Charlie a lot, by the way.
Charlie?
Please don't
Do you
call
like
Charlie.
Charlie?
I hate Charlie.
Well, when Charlie and I are on TV, I just think that we're both very curious people. This is the thing that excites me most. Neither one of us were looking, well, I'll speak for myself. I wasn't looking for another job. Were you?
No, when they said something, I said, hell no, I don't want to be on TV more. And then this when they first brought it up, and I said, they said, what about Gayle? I said, Gayle who? They're like, Gayle King. I said, oh yeah, I'll work with Gayle.
Yes.
That's the only way.
And I had
we
the same
called each other.
conversation. Yes, yes.
I got replaced, but Don Lemon, you got replaced by the Chuckster. You got replaced by me, knucklehead. That's right. I got your CNN money. My God. Now, let's not keep beating on Don because Tucker Carlson, another nitwit, got fired himself. But before I get to Don, I'm sorry, before I get to Tucker, I want to pull this up. Hit that like, share, and subscribe button, ladies and gentlemen. I got to ask you, please donate to the Cash App, PayPal, or Zelle. As you know, this channel is not monetized. I got to talk about this. We're going to move to Tucker Carlson. But this is a Yahoo News report as to why Tucker Carlson was let go from Fox. Now, one of my favorite moments, and the first time I ever heard about Tucker Carlson was when this asshole did TV. He had a TV show on CNN. Very interesting. The show was called Crossfire, and Jonathan Stewart from The Daily Show was a guest star. And I don't know if many of you all may or may not remember it, but he and Sucker Carlson had a back and forth when they brought him on, and he called Jon Stewart, called Tucker Carlson a dick. And the show subsequently got canceled. I don't know if y'all, I'm trying to see if y'all. I have the video, but I don't.
Of it all, you know, which, by the way, thank you both, because it's been helpful.
But if Kerry gets elected, is it good? I mean, you said you're voting for him. You obviously support him. It's clear. Will it be harder for you to mock his administration if he becomes president?
Now, why would it be harder?
Because
the only way it would be harder is if his administration is less absurd than this one. So in that case, if it's less absurd, then yeah, I think it'd be harder. But I mean, it'd be hard to top this group. I mean, quite frankly, in terms of absurdity and their world matching up to the one that, you know, it was interesting. President Bush was saying, you know, John Kerry, his rhetoric doesn't match his record. But I've heard President Bush describe his record. His record doesn't match his record. So, you know, I don't worry about it in that respect. But let me ask you guys again a question, because we talked a little bit about, you know, you're actually doing honest debate and all that. But after the debates, where do you guys head to right afterwards?
The men's room.
Right after that.
Right, home.
Spin Alley.
Home?
No, Spin Alley.
What are you talking about? I mean, at these debates?
Yeah, you go to Spin Alley, the place called Spin Alley. Now, don't you think that for people watching at home, that's kind of a drag, that you're literally walking to a place called Deception Lane? Like, it's Spin Alley. It's don't you see, that's the issue I'm trying to talk to you guys.
I actually believe, I had a lot of friends who worked for President Bush. I went to college with
Neither of us was ever in the
they,
room,
no, I did. I went to Larry King's room. They actually believe what they're saying. They want to persuade you. That's what they're trying to do by spinning. But I don't doubt for a minute these people who work for President Bush, who I disagree with and everything, they believe that stuff, John. This is not
Here's
a
what
lie
I think.
or deception at all.
I think
they
they believe.
in him.
I think they believe.
Just like I believe in my guys.
I think they believe President Bush would do a better job, and I believe the Kerry guys believe President Kerry would do a better job. But what I believe is they're not making honest arguments. So what they're doing is, in their mind, the ends justify the means.
I hate the show at all. I do think you're more fun on your show. Just my opinion.
But
okay.
You're as big a dick on your show as you are on any show.
Jon Stewart said, "You're a bigger dick on your show as you are on any show." And Tucker
Now you're getting into it. Okay, we'll be right back.
Eastern.
Because he wanted the man. I thought you were going to be funny, and Jon Stewart was serious. He was there to promote his book, but he critiqued Crossfire because of their reporting. He even ripped his bow tie. I'll never forget that. I laughed so hard.
How old are you?
35.
And you wear a bow tie.
Yeah, I do.
So this is.
No, I know. You're right. No, let me just go. No, come on.
And listen, I'm not suggesting that you're not a smart guy, because those are not easy to tie. But the thing is that you're doing theater when you should be doing debate, which would be.
You're doing theater when you're doing debate. Now, Sucker Carlson has been known. Let's just
because we, as the people.
How do you pay?
The people, not well.
Better than CNN, I'm sure.
But you can sleep at night. See,
he's been known, let's just be real, to make racist rhetoric. And so Sucker Carlson gets fired from Fox. Here's what we know about that. Is that what's interesting in how all of this is tying in. Don Lemon was worried about Fox News when that Indian boy came on there spouting racist stuff about black folk. And he gets fired. And then CNN, in turn, Sucker Carlson gets fired. Now, What this has to do, according to what they're stating here, his 6-year run as host of his own primetime show at Fox News is over, the network announced Monday, ending the chapter made more tenuous by former President Donald Trump's loss in 2020. Now, of course, I think Yahoo News is going to be slanted with this because they lean to the left. But now, so this is the highest rated show on Fox, and yet there's a lawsuit against the network stemming from the defamation suit that was filed by Dominion Voting Systems. And it appears to have been a central factor. Is what they alluded to. They had a settlement of almost $1 billion over that lawsuit, over that reporting by Fox News. And reportedly, he was pushed out by the boss of the Fox News, Rupert Murdoch himself. They also state that Carlson's exit is related to the discrimination lawsuit filed by Abby Grossberg, a producer fired by the network last month, the sources said. Carlson's senior executive producer, Justin Wells, was also terminated. Grossberg was moved off Sunday Morning Futures with Maria Bartiromo, and onto Tucker Carlson tonight, where she alleged she was bullied and subjected to anti-Semitic comments, according to a lawsuit in New York. In deposition testimony, what's happening to me? The former Fox News producer said she was coerced by company lawyers to give misleading answers in the Dominion voting system defamation case against the network. Fox News denied the claim, and she was terminated for disclosing privileged company information. Attorneys for Grossberg recently stated that her suit was a key factor in Carlson's exit. Tucker Carlson's departure from Fox News is in part an admission of the systemic lying, bullying, and conspiracy mongering claimed by our client, former top producer Abby Grossberg. Here's my thing. Let me stop right there, ma'am. This is the same Fox News that had Bill O'Reilly, who made disparaging, bullying, racist remarks about people. And Bill O'Reilly was there before Tucker Carlson. That didn't bother you when you signed up to produce his show, that you would be coming on to a network who, just like CNN, let's be real, they lean, of course, to a certain audience, the conservative, the right, as CNN leans to the left. And they do like black people. I think both networks, they do like certain black people, but like keyword is certain. You got to agree. They got, who's the one Negro? Leo. Can't think of his last name. That was arguing with Cornel West. Then you had, they used to have Jesse Lee Peterson come on, who's dumb as a box of rocks. No offense to rocks everywhere. They have the big black dude who's on business who does comments. They used to have, I can't think of the dude's brother's name. My friend Ron knows him, Juan someone, and Ron spoke highly of the guy, believe it or not. But they say that this was a factor. Nevertheless, the point being is that they have a history of giving out false information. And they say they may point note here in the article to say that Carlson's ouster was not part of the $787.5 million settlement Fox agreed to pay Dominion last week. But Fox, of course, we know has been known for making false statements about the 2020 election. However, some of the comments that Carlson has made about Fox News management in communications that turned up in the discovery process for the case may have played a role in his downfall. We devote our lives to building an audience, and they let Chris Wallace and Leland F. Vitteritt wreck it. Carlson texted in a group conversation with fellow hosts Laura Ingraham and Sean Hannity over the 2020 election. Viterot was a Fox News reporter who was frequently criticized by Trump and now works at News Nation. Wallace moderated the first 2020. Yeah, this is the son of Mike Wallace from, as in 60 Minutes. He moderated the first 2020 presidential debate, which they say was a disaster for Trump. And Carlson averaged, you see here, 3 million viewers a night. Now, the difference between Tucker Carlson and Don Lemon, guys, even though they were both fired, here's the difference. Tucker Carlson, if you may or may not know, his family is filthy rich. Do you know that his family, his father is a multi-millionaire. His net worth is about $420 million. His salary at the time he was on Fox, according to this, was $35 million, his yearly salary, which means every month, I don't know how they came up with that, because if you say 5 million monthly, there's 12, is 5 times 12, 12 for 12 months out of a year, is 60. If you multiply that, so it would be 60 million. But Tucker Carlson's family made their money, I believe, from owning Swanson Food Products. That's his family, Tucker Swanson McNair Carlson. Ugly ass boy. Where's that haircut? He's always so he wasn't made into a prick, he was born one. Swanson Food. That's his family. So just think of that. Do y'all think getting fired from Fox hurts Tucker Carlson? This doesn't hurt him. This doesn't hurt a guy like this. Okay, so his father was married to Patricia Swanson, who was the heiress to the Swanson Frozen Food Company. So that's on his, is this his mother or stepmother? Okay, so he remarried. So this is his stepmother. So, but nevertheless, the point being, y'all get what I'm trying to say, is that this man comes from a family of money. But then he cost the network some money. And they couldn't tolerate it. Tucker Carlson's been married for, yeah, he's married. So this is not a nothing burger to him. And Don Lemon, and Tucker Carlson can go over to Newsmax. And I'm pretty sure he's going to bring in those same 3 million people that want Fox. They're going to follow him. And he's going to keep saying the same racist shit and making the same money. Don Lemon, nobody's going to miss Don Lemon. Nobody's going to list Don Lemon. Nobody's going to miss. I mean, we won't care. We don't care about Tucker Carlson. But the key to that, and what I am stating, ladies and gentlemen, is ownership. Having an audience matters. They can support him. He's sustainable. Don Lemon, nobody's gonna be is crying over Don Lemon getting fired, and he's not worth it. Both of them are not worth it, in my opinion. I'm not just gonna beat up on Don Lemonade, but we know Tucker Carlson has been known to say racist shit. Now, the timing of it all, the fact that both Don Lemon and Tucker Carlson have the same attorney, I find interesting. I think that they could have been correlated. Could it have been correlated that they would be fired? Perhaps. Brian Friedman is representing Don Lemon. Now, I don't know what it is. Of course, when Don was fired, there's no telling as to what his legal rights may be as far as if he's getting paid his back salary or anything. But when you're fired, traditionally that means that's it. You get paid what you last worked for, and that's it, unless you have some type of a contract. Now, of course, in some of these contracts they have, they reserve the right to fire and hire whoever they want. And of course, they can fire on a morals grounds if they find, but they may have it where they have to pay him a lump amount. So he's hired Brian Friedman, who represents Tucker Carlson, because he's trying to claw back those millions and that's Don's husband. He's trying to get those millions that he's owed. Don Lemon had been with CNN for 17 years, and look at his net worth. His net worth was 12 million. We saw that Tucker Carlson's net worth was 420 million. His salary supposedly was 35 million. He earned they say he earned 6 million. So where I looked at was probably wrong, but he had a net worth of 30 million, but that's not counting his family. So this doesn't hurt him, nevertheless. And you see here, his exit wipes out 700 million in market value for Fox. So they're going to be hurt by this at Fox, but Rupert Murdoch didn't give a damn. Says Rupert Murdoch slid 182 million. And he's still he lost 182 million and still the 99th richest man in the world. Damn. That was probably a personal thing, especially the lawsuit that they had, but he didn't care. Yeah, the stock tanked. That could be Emperor. Nobody thought that. What's going on, Emperor? His mom was restrained from her sons. Well, she probably got tired of his voice as a kid. He was conservative on breast milk. That's where that came from. Y'all hit that like, share, and subscribe button. We got one last thing we want to talk about. We said the lemon was squeezed and by Tucker Carlson. But we want to talk serious matters. I want to say rest in power to a legend. Earlier today, we learned that the great Harry Belafonte, who was a singer, actor, and activist, died from heart failure at the age of 96. Belafonte had a very illustrious career, particularly in the 50s and 60s when he produced an album in the 1950s called Calypso. That album, which featured songs like Dale, the Banana Boat song, as well as Jump in the Line, which are some of the songs I remember, actually was the first album, Calypso, to be to sell over 1 million copies worldwide. $1 million copies. He starred in Carmen Jones, which was a musical in 1954 and was a popular breakthrough for an all-black cast. He starred in the movie Island in the Sun, which was banned in several southern cities where theater owners were threatened by the Klan because of the film's interracial romance between Joan Fontaine and Belafonte. The album was the first, that I said Calypso was the first certified in million-selling album. Certified platinum means you have to sell 1 million records. That was a first. Admirers of Belafonte included a young Bob Dylan, who debuted on a record in the early 60s by playing harmonica on Belafonte's Midnight Special. He said, quote, "Harry was the best balladeer in the land, and everybody knew it. Harry was the rare type of character that radiates greatness, and you hope that some of it rubs off on you." Among other things, Belafonte befriended in the 1950s a young civil rights leader named Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. They met at a meeting that took place, and they asked for a meeting, and Belafonte remembered feeling King raised him to, quote, the higher plane of social protest. And at the peak of his singing career, Belafonte was soon producing a benefit concert for the bus boycott in Montgomery and Alabama that helped make King a national figure. By the early 1960s, he had decided to make civil rights his priority. He recalled, "I was having almost daily talks with Martin. I realized that the movement was more important than anything else." He later wrote in his memoir published in 2011 entitled My Song. Belafonte was also the one who arranged the March on Washington along with other entertainers and activists. You had Marlon Brando, Charlton Heston was there, as well as Sammy Davis Jr., among other, there's a bunch of people. Dick Gregory, of course, played a role in that. But Belafonte was always an admirer of Dr. King and his importance, and arranged for King and Kennedy to meet in the 1960s. He was quite taken. He said in 2013, he told NBC that he was quite taken by the fact that Kennedy, JFK, knew very little about the Black community. He knew the headlines of the day, but he wasn't really anywhere nuanced or detailed on the depth of Black anguish or what our struggle is really about. Belafonte would criticize the Kennedys for their reluctance to challenge the Southern segregationists, who were then a substantial part of the Democratic Party. He argued that Attorney General Bobby Kennedy, the president's brother, he argued with him over the government's failure to protect the Freedom Riders trying to integrate bus stations. He was among the Black activists at a widely publicized meeting with the Attorney General when playwright Lorraine Hansberry and others stunned Kennedy by questioning whether the country even deserved Black allegiance. He said, "Bobby turned red at that, and I never seen him so shaken." Sidney Poitier was a part of that, and Sidney Poitier, we know, just passed away last year, I believe. Sidney Poitier passed away, last year, January 6th. So he passes away, and then Belafonte passes away the next year in April here. Now, one of the things I remember about Mr. Belafonte was when he called out, he said BET did a tribute to Harry Belafonte. I don't know, what did they do? Now, he was actually there at Dr. King's funeral. And he also served, a lot of things you don't know too. He served in the military, in the Navy during World War II. And Poitier also served in World War II in the Army. And they both acted in the American Negro Theater and broke into film. And of course, Sidney dedicated most of his time to his acting, while Belafonte was more an activist. But Belafonte was involved in a lot of things. One of the things he was involved with, a lot of people don't know this, was he organized the We Are the World for hunger in Africa. He was with the United Nations. He was known to work with UNICEF, among other things. And he was actually in the recording of the song. So he helped organize that. At one point, he became estranged from the King family. I think after Dr. King's death, even suing. I'm just reading this. Y'all see this? He sued the King's children over control of some of the civil rights leaders' personal papers, and it alleged the family was preoccupied with selling trinkets and memorabilia, which is, I believe, is true because they were even trying to sell a couple. You remember a couple of years ago, they were trying to sell Dr. King's Bible, the family Bible. He and Coretta stuff. Yeah, I remember that. King's death left Belafonte isolated from the civil rights community. He was turned off by the separatist beliefs of Stokely Carmichael and other Black Power activists and had little chemistry with King's designated successor, the Reverend Ralph Abernathy. I do recall that Mr. Belafonte was also a critic of Colin Powell. He called him an Uncle Tom. He compared him to a slave permitted to come into the house of the master for his service in the Bush administration. He was present when Obama was inaugurated, officiating along with Baez and others at a gala called the Inaugural Peace Ball. But Belafonte later criticized Obama for failing to live up to his promise and lacking fundamental empathy with the dispossessed, be they white or black. Now, Mr. Belafonte was survived by his wife, Pamela Frank. He was previously married twice, and he had 4 children. 3 of them, Sherry, David, and Gina, became actors. He also had 2 stepchildren and 8 grandchildren. One of his last appearances in movie was Spike Lee's Black Klansman. I actually remember seeing that with my dad and seeing him speak, and my dad recognized it. That's Belafonte. And one of his heroes was Paul Robeson, the great actor and thespian, but he was an activist. So we're going to play this video on Mr. Belafonte that they have here. I don't know where this is from, but let's play this video. One of my favorite memories of Mr. Belafonte, I'm going to play this video. I'm going to share that with you before I forget.
Going on. The cruelty of the enemy is as great as ever.
It was pretty easy for these kids to act out hero worship. Harry, born of West Indian parents, was everybody's hero.
I mean, Eleanor Roosevelt just walked into my life, and she turned it around. Dr. King called me on the phone one day. Malcolm X knocked at the door one day. Nelson Mandela, he and I had an exchange of letters while he was in prison. And just these things kept emerging, and each time I saw opportunity to become involved in what their struggle and our struggle was about, and felt I'd make as big a difference as I could.
Yeah. Now, my favorite memory is this. Thank you, Kid Gravity. Who remembers this? Uptown Saturday night. Harry Belafonte played. And Bill Cosby and Sidney Poitier were, yeah, there you are.
Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Lord. Jesus.
Not far.
Thank you, Jesus. Thank you for my father. Thank you, Lord. Thank you for my mother. Thank you, Lord. Thank you for my sister. Thank you, Jesus. For my brother. Thank you, Lord. Jesus. 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 Oh, Jesus. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Jesus.
Someone said, be careful with the music. Don't worry, it's black. They ain't going to come at me for this. It's not popular. They don't come after. YouTube don't copyright on the old black movies. It's just the white and the white ones and the black movies that make money. They worry about. I'll look at that a little bit later. Guys. Well, I'll actually. Guys, for those that don't know, that's my dad talking. Dad is here.
I'm here to see Mr. Geechee Dad. Wait here.
22%. I want to know how you feeling. We don't want to sit him down. Sit down.
I understand the purpose of that. I wonder how many takes they have to do. He was Black Randall. As y'all know, my dad remembers this movie more than I. It's closer to his.
No way you won't.
Well, sir, seems like it's some property of mine was stolen, and I need some help.
So what you coming to me for?
Well, I heard that don't nothing go down unless you know about it.
Man, get out of my face.
No. Just a minute, Geechee Dan. Mr. Buford. Mr. Buford.
Well, if you don't get away from here soon, they're going to be picking up your head from across the street. Now move out, sucker.
Wait 1 damn minute. Don't be pulling. Mr. Buford, please, sir. Please, Mr.
Yeah, those are great movies. Uptown Saturday Night, Let's Do It Again, and A Piece of the Action. Yeah, I didn't get enough time, but if I had spoken with Dr. Cosby a little bit more, I would have asked him about that, because that would have been fun to know how. My favorite scene, of course, in the movie was when he was in the bar looking for Big Seymour. No, Big Percy and Little Seymour. I asked the question, sissy. Oh, everybody say hello. Here's Dad.
Hello, everyone.
They can't see you. You gotta come closer.
Yeah, okay, no problem.
There he is.
Hi, people. Hello.
All right. What is it you want to ask?
Somali.
A Somali party.
Somali party movement.
Has anyone ever heard of the Somali party movement? Would y'all let me know? I don't know if anybody knows that yet. But you can Google that. Somali party movement?
Yes.
It's a Somali patriotic movement. You can look up, but that's in Somalia.
No. Somali political party in the United States.
It is a political party. I see it in the United States.
Mahali.
Mahali?
Yes. Political movement.
Mahali National Party. Yeah, they have stuff like that. But I don't know anything about it.
Well, could you ask your audience?
Well, yeah, they may. I don't know if they know anything about it. Mahali?
Yeah.
Okay. Mahali political party. Yeah. Even if so, they probably not gonna respond to anything.
All right.
But yeah, but that's one of my favorite items from Mr. Harry Belafonte. You have any recollections of him? I guess I could ask you, Dad, since you.
He was a great activist, civil rights activist.
Yeah.
That's what he's remembered for, and I think that he is an icon of the civil rights movement. He did things behind the scenes with Dr. King and others to move the party forward.
Yeah. My main thing, he's also a great singer too. So, yeah, very popular. Rest in power, Mr. Belafonte. And we saw his last movie, which was Black Klansman. He played an elder in it. But yeah, and I remember his daughter Sharon from back in the 80s. I remember her and her forehead. Forehead was big. I think here's a brief clip we can show. This was in the last film.
He was 17. I was 18. We kind of looked at Jesse and called
It's brief. Fair use. Fair use.
Today, you'd call him mentally retarded. They claimed Jesse raped and murdered a white woman by the name of Lucy Fryer. They put Jesse on trial, and he was convicted by an all-white jury after they deliberated for only 4 minutes.
My brothers in Christ, Nobel Prize recipient, co-creator of the transistor, and a dear friend of mine, Dr. William Shockley, whose groundbreaking scientific work ushered in the computer age, has proven through his research with eugenics that each of us here has flowing through our veins the genes of a superior race. It's a fact. It's a fact. It can't be disputed. Today, we celebrate that truth.
Mask off, hoods on.
I was working across the street at the shoe shine parlor. And after the verdict, the mob grabbed Jesse, put a chain around his neck, and dragged him out of the courthouse. I knew I had to hide.
That way. Be careful, brother.
Well, all right. Where I was, the shoe parlor had a window up in the attic, and I could see the crowd. They marched Jesse through the streets. They stabbed him and beat him, and finally, in a bloody heap, they held him down in the street and cut off his testicles. And cut off his testicles.
God, give us true white men.
Yeah, I want to pray. I'll take the chance, but it's very, very. This was from Harry Belafonte's last known
demagogue,
Black Panther.
and damn his treacherous flatteries without blinking. God, give us real men, courageous men who flinch not at duty, men of dependable character, men of sterling worth. Then wrongs will be redressed, and right shall rule the earth. God, give us true white men. Ron Stallworth, rise. Step forward.
Police and the city officials were out there watching him. They cut off his fingers and threw coal oil all over his body. They lit a bonfire and raised him and lowered him over these flames, over and over and over again.
Ron Stallworth, are you a white, non-Jewish American citizen?
Yes.
Yes. What?
Yes. I am a white, non-Jewish American citizen.
Are you in favor of a white man's government in this country?
Yes.
Ron Stallworth, are you willing to dedicate your life to the protection, the preservation, and the advancement of the white race in mind, in body, and in spirit?
Yes.
Be seated.
The mayor had a photographer by the name of Gildersleeve. He came and took pictures of the whole thing. Those pictures were later sold as postcards.
Rest in power, Mr. Harry Belafonte. I'm gonna wrap it up, guys. I've been on here for a while, but rest in power, Harry Belafonte. We'll be back Thursday, ladies and gentlemen. Shout out to his family. My prayers and my thoughts are with them at this time. All right. But you all be safe, be blessed. Please, if you like this broadcast, smash up the likes, smash up the likes, smash up the likes. Donate to the Cash App and PayPal if you could. We, of course, are not monetized, so anything you contribute would be great. Hit that notification bell. And you can support our channel at the ticker at the bottom. But yeah, it's been a great broadcast, guys. But anyway, we're going to wrap this up. And we will see you all on Thursday. Also, you can go to our Facebook page at Commonwealth Cosby, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania versus William H. Cosby, ladies and gentlemen. All right? On Kindle. Okay, guys, I'm out. Good night. Be safe. Be blessed. Okay. Peace.